I think that there are plenty of people that would look at what has just happened and use it as an excuse to say, we shouldn't keep chickens in our backyard. I don't feel great about that there are people that think that, but I also don't blame them because, of course, we don't want the worst case scenario to happen. But I think it's really important for us to examine the conditions that were necessary for this situation to happen because there's some lessons in it for us. Hey guys, welcome to Chickenlandia. I am a backyard chicken educator here in the Pacific Northwest, but you can call me the president of Chickenlandia. I've got some chickens making some funny noises today. They are just like talking away, chatting away. It's okay. I don't need you to be quiet while I'm making a video. So everything that I'm going to be discussing today is based on the news that has been put out so far. Today is May 3rd, 2022. I do record my videos in advance, so by the time this video comes out, things may have changed, so just keep that in mind as you go forward. But even if things have changed, I do think the information that I put out in this video will still be relevant, so just keep that in mind. But I do hope that you'll watch this video until the end because it is my goal to put out information that will make you feel hopeful and make you feel like there is something that you can do about this and that you don't have to come from this place of fear, because when we are coming from a place of fear, we don't make good decisions, and I don't want that for you. I went and got this chicken because she was being so loud. You're being too loud. It's hard for me to concentrate. I'm gonna put her down. We'll see how she acts. Go. So at the end of April, the news started coming out that there was a human case of highly pathogenic avian influenza detected in the United States. And that is also known as H5N1. It occurred in someone who was working at a commercial farm where they had to cull 58,000 chickens. And when I say cull, I mean that they killed them or they exterminated them. So this poor soul that tested positive, he is okay. He just reported feeling tired for a few days and then he was fine. I think he was given an antiviral and then he was fine. And nobody else working with him has tested positive for the disease so far. I couldn't find any identifying information about this gentleman, and I think that's a good thing because I can't imagine what his life would be like if everybody knew he was the one that got bird flu. But what I do know is that he was a young man, he was less than 40 years old, and he was working in a pre-release program at a correction center in Colorado. So I want to look at a few important things about, the situation that led to this person being allegedly infected with this disease. And I say allegedly because we don't completely know for sure if he actually contracted the disease or if the virus was just present in his nose and that's how he turned up positive. But they are, they're calling it a positive case because it meets the criteria for that. They don't know if he actually got avian influenza. So before I go on, I really want to make it clear that I am speaking specifically about the commercial poultry industry. I'm not talking about those of you out there. I know there's some that watch me that raise meat chickens, in a free-range situation on your own farm. I am not directing what I'm about to say towards you, okay? So I just want to make that really clear. Secondly, I am going to speculate about the conditions on this commercial farm, but I have never visited this farm. I don't have any information about this farm. I tried to find out which one it was. That information is just not out there. And I feel a little conflicted about that, but it's probably a good thing because there's people working at this farm that are just trying to feed their own families. They're just trying to make a living. So what I'm saying is not directed towards them. These things that I'm saying are directed towards the poultry industry as an industry as a whole. So all that being said, let's talk about the conditions that were present that led to this person possibly being infected by bird flu. So this was a commercial poultry house. They were housing 58,000 chickens, and it was broiler chickens. So When people say broiler, that means basically meat chickens. And the most common meat chicken that we consume is the Cornish cross chicken. So I think it's fair to assume that it was 58,000 Cornish cross chickens. So the thing about meat chickens is that this particular kind, they don't live very long. They only live a few weeks, and that's because they are bred to grow really fast and grow really big. They grow so big that after they're a few weeks old, it's hard for them to even walk around. So they kind of just like shuffle around. They lose feathers on the bottom half of their body. It's really not a natural existence. And if you can imagine a situation where there are 58,000 of these birds being housed in this poultry house, that's an extreme situation. So that's a condition that he was in where this virus possibly jumped from a chicken to a human. Now, I can tell you, I don't know what this person's job was, but I imagine that it was pretty awful. Like, this is horrible work, and I'm not surprised that that at least some of the people that are doing this work are prisoners, because it's that horrible. So the folks that were in charge of this program, they did say, we gave the prisoners the protective gear that they needed to keep them from getting infected. But in these situations, there's just a very high level of exposure. There's a lot of dander in the air. There's dead chickens. We're talking about tens of thousands of chickens. And it's just, it's a filthy situation. I don't have any reason to not believe these people when they say we did give them protective gear, but I'm going to tell you something right now. I actually worked in corrections. I worked in juvenile corrections, and this was in the 90s. I don't trust that industry as far as I can throw it, and I can't throw it very far because I have worked in it, and I know that it's a monstrous industry. So my trust in these institutions to be totally ethical and transparent is very low because of what I've seen with my own eyes, what I've experienced in my own life. But that is an emotional response. It's not based on facts. I can't say that they didn't provide these workers what they needed to stay safe. I can just say that, my trust in these types, in that particular industry is very low. It doesn't take a lot to understand the conditions that were necessary for the situation to take place. And when I look at those conditions and I compare that with the conditions in my backyard where I have chickens that are happy, they're healthy, and I know some of you out there, you're free-ranging meat chickens, maybe Cornish crosses, maybe another breed, and they're living a good, healthy life. There's a big difference between that and the conditions in a commercial poultry farm. And, I think it's important for us to look at that and say, okay, are we going to continue to put our society in danger by focusing more on profit than we do our safety? And I can't claim that, the answer to all of this is for everybody to have chickens in their backyard, because that is not possible. And people need to eat. They need food. Families, they need cheap food. They depend on that. But I also know that this is part of the answer, and that continuing down this road of these big poultry houses and these industries that focus more on profit than our safety, that is not the answer, and that is not the future. At least it's not the future that we want. Now, I know a lot of you have different opinions about bird flu, and I know some of you have different political opinions. You're really coming from opposite sides of the aisle. But what I will always say is, don't get mad at each other. Don't get mad at each other over this. Get mad at the people that are perpetuating these issues. Get mad at the people that are making us unsafe. And let's focus on that. And I know this is like a total bummer. I know this is a total bummer, but I do want to say that there is something that you can do about it. If you can raise chickens in your backyard, I really think you should do it, because it is part of the answer. And if you want to learn more about how to do that, or maybe you want to share information with your friends, I want you to click right here. It's 100% friendly backyard chickens, education and entertainment, and I know you're gonna love it. We got this, okay?